All right, let's talk about dividing complex numbers. So even when we say dividing complex numbers, it's a little bit of a misnomer. What we're really doing is dealing with a radical in the denominator. Generally, we don't really like having a radical in the denominator, and an I is really the square root of -1. So we have to find a way to get that imaginary number out of our denominator. So what we do is we multiply times something called the complex conjugate of the denominator. And in this case, the complex conjugate of 1 minus 4i is 1 plus 4i. And a complex conjugate is a complex number who has the opposite sign on its imaginary component. We don't want to change the value of this fraction, so we also multiply the numerator by that same value, 1 plus 4i. And why this works is because when I divide something by itself, I'm really multiplying by the number 1, because anything divided by itself is 1. So from here, we're really just multiplying. And if you need extra help with that, you can check the other video in this series. So what I want to do first is distribute. I always start with the denominator because it ends up being a little bit easier. So I multiply 1 times 1 and I get 1. And then here's where kind of the trick of the complex conjugate shows itself. I'm going to multiply 1 times positive 4i and then 1 times negative 4i, and those i's will cancel each other out. Finally, I'm going to multiply negative 4i times positive 4i, which gives me negative 16i squared. Now I move up to the numerator, and I distribute as usual. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4i is 8i. 3i times 1 is 3i. And 3i times 4i squared is positive 12i squared. I'm not done because I have some I squareds showing up. So I need to deal with those. If we remember from our previous videos, I squared is the same as -1. So when I simplify my numerator, positive 12i squared is really the same as -12. So 2 plus -12 will be -10 plus, combining my like terms, 11i. And now in my denominator, I have 1 minus 16i squared. Negative 16i squared is really the same as positive 16. So 1 plus 16 will be 17. And now, as you can see, my denominator is imaginary number free. So we have simplified and rewritten. There's our final answer. If it is possible to simplify this fraction if all my terms have like factors, but in this case 17 and 11 are both prime and we cannot simplify any further.